Chasin the Racin, powered by Colchester Kawasaki, part of the Global Moto Group. We supply new Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, Vespa, Royal Enfield, Kawasaki, Sim, Mutt and Benelli motorcycles.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to episode 167 of Chasin the Racin podcast. And it's just the two of us this week, so no guest. Dom is fresh back from Armagh, literally just got off the boat and came straight here. So we're going to have a bit of a catch up on all, obviously, the weekend at Armagh, plus just a general catch up. We've got a load of Patreon questions, and it's now and again it's nice just to have just the two of us, just to catch up on like what we've been up to and stuff.
To be fair, I'm more nervous right now. You nearly messed up the beginning there. You almost said, instead of 3, 2, 1, welcome back, you said Chasin the Racin. It's no, I think I'm more nerve-wracked now. Normally we're picking on someone, aren't we? It's normally us ganging up, never mind talking about ourselves.
So obviously straight off the boat from Armagh, and it's the first time you've been out since your operation. It's the first. I know you were hoping to get out on the pit bike, but it didn't really work out. So
that went to tits, mate.
Straight in at the deep end. Do you want to give a quick rundown on like how the weekend went?
Oh Jesus! I was about to say, I think we should almost go back in time because we've just come back from the Bennett's track day. Now, did we talk about? Hold on, where did we go before that? So no, hold on, we did Tommy Hill, didn't we?
Yeah.
Now, when did we do Tommy Hill? That was
last week at Brands.
Now, what day was that though? Did you do practice or? Yeah, I tell you what, everyone thinks we've got this fully programmed and like we just wing it.
Thursday or Friday or something.
Thursday, Friday, isn't it? So I tell you what, I'm gonna counteract your question and go straight into the deep end. Let's keep it in timetable. So we were down at Brands, and the weather was a bit shite now and then, wasn't it? Hitty missy.
Yeah.
And how did you get on? You remind me. I'm being genuine here. I cannot remember.
Yeah, as we've done the Lee Jackson podcast since, but we didn't really talk about Brands, to be fair. It was all right. So the Friday practice, it was on and off rain a little bit, so both sessions were kind of like hampered with the weather. And then gone.
I was about to say I was the only lads who went out because it was like half an hour in before anyone remotely went out, and it was you and Josh Brooks that went out in the wet, and you two banged in like the top times.
Yeah, usually sessions like that, there's not a great deal to gain, and I would usually just sit in the garage, but it just so happened that we had a new engine in, and obviously it had been running on the dyno, but you always want to just get some mileage on it, so it was a sort of perfect session for me, really, just to put some wets in and just go on. It was like a drying track, like I say, not much to gain, but obviously it was good just to get some miles on the engine, so it sort of served a purpose.
Was it good to have Brogy back in?
Yeah. So at the weekend, Phil, who's usually my crew chief, obviously Phil Crow, wasn't able to make it down to the race, and so I didn't really have like a sort of crew chief figure.
Yeah.
But Steve Brogan's got his own Super Stock 600 team, and so he's in the paddock with his lads there, and he very kindly came up and just gives a hand like during the session, just gives a little bit of a direction. I was really grateful for his help, and we managed to get through the weekend, so all good.
Now, as a reference, could you feel a massive difference between the engines?
No, so for those
that's a bit gutting.
For those people that don't know, it's the old BMWs used to be an S1000, and they brought the M1000 in, and that coincided with, I think that was when they brought the wings in, so that's how you tell the difference between the two. So like, for example, at the TT, Dom was racing an S, which is the old model, and then the M is the newer one with the wings. So we started this year on an M1000, and unfortunately it blew up in the very first race of the season, so we've had an engine on order ever since, and we had to put an old S engine, so it was just one of like Croy's engines in as a spare. So that's what I've been on all season so far, and then this new M engine came, so we ran it in on the dyno, and then this weekend at Brands was the first time. But interestingly enough, it was it just so happened that like this is probably I would say this is the weakest I've been in the speed traps at the weekend all season. It was really weird because both the S and the M are both super stock spec engines.
But there is big differences between the engines, though.
Quite big difference.
Well, no. Well, the M Sport is titanium internals.
Yes, but just to say, when I had the S in, so horsepower-wise, it wasn't particularly that strong. But on the track, like say at Knock Hill, I was really, really competitive in the speed traps, really competitive. And then when we put the M in, I was expecting like about 5 or 6 more brake horsepower, but I was like, yeah, right. I think I was second last in the speed traps overall on the Cataclean speed trap thing. And if you look at my speed traps, even in comparison to super stock, I'd be, I think on the straights, I would be like outside the top 10 in super stock with the,
really,
yeah. So I don't know if we're just, I don't know what's going on, but in terms of actually on the track, it felt good. Felt reasonably good. And to be honest, it's not the be all and end all the top speed. Often, like say horsepower wise, I think top BSB super bikes you can start getting like sort of I've heard rumours of like 220, 230 horsepower.
Yeah.
But with that extra horsepower, so from say super stock bikes from like 205 to, you can get from like 205 to 210ish, I think, on super stock. When you introduce all those extra, like say if you put an extra 20 brake horsepower, you might be able to get a bit of an advantage on the straight, but you also cause a lot of problems with that power, especially with no electronics. You know, it's not always easy to get. Like super stock bikes have got that much power these days. So
I'd be interested to see, I tell you what, I'd love to see those figures though, you know, when you're comparing it against stock times.
Yeah.
Because like the Fireblades, it's like that, the Fireblade's taken over, isn't it? But they are 217 stock.
Yeah.
Well, with pipes. And now, don't get me wrong. Everyone listen to this. Now, brake horsepower figures are pub figures. You know what I mean?
They're not 217 on like not when I'm comparing with 205. If a super... like it obviously depends which dyno, what day. You can basically make whatever numbers you want, but in terms of like the difference, like say if you put them on the BSB dyno on a BSB day with BSB tires, I'd be amazed if you've seen anything over if there's been more than 210 on a super stock bike. I'd be absolutely amazed.
We need Frank Raffle back on.
Yeah,
we need
the highest that when I was in super stock, and I had a very, very competitive bike in super stock, the highest that we ever got on Frank's dyno with super stock tyre was 205.
Right.
And as far as there was no bikes that were particularly much faster than mine, so I can't see it being. If there's been more than 210, I'd be amazed. It
is interesting though, because like that was my point. It was a bit like, you know, brake horsepower figures or pub crack. You know what I mean? It's like who's got the most about put the power down. But
at the weekend, mine was 205 with a superbike tyre on.
With superbike tyre, and that's the M. So like now. Obviously, going back to your point, though, there are big differences between the engines, the internals. It's about weight, inertia on the crank. You know, the M being steel components like the valves, the conrods. Well, when I rode I can never say this word right, help me out. Thank you very much. But like when we ran the ZX10, the conrods alone, do you know how much the conrods were? Go on.
They're like 1,500 quid or something.
1,500 quid, and there's 4 of them. You know what I mean? When you compare that against the steel internals. So part of me, when we got the S1000 for this season, that was a huge contributing factor for me, was the rebuild cost. You're thinking you're spending nearly $7,000 in parts alone, never mind labour, and it's shitting itself potentially. You know what I mean? One slip valve, bang, wallet, there goes your wallet. You know what I mean? But stepping into that, it's really interesting to see a lot of your calibre not really feeling much of a difference. You know, was it like, you know, because like with the weight and the crank, there'll be more bottom end, more drive, more picking out. This is all in theory, on paper. This is how X should feel to Y. But that's interesting how you're not feeling a big difference.
No,
you know what I mean?
Not much at all.
Because there is an RPM difference with that weight. You know, it's all up in the top end. In like Motorcycle Magazine, this is what they'll be telling you. But no, they are.
It's the same. I've
Chrissy Rouse, the myth buster.
I've back to back the Kawasaki with the red top engine as well. So I once had a red top engine. My bike blew up and we put the other engine in and we lost. I think it was something like 800 RPM.
Right.
And it was noticeable, but you're talking like around a lap, maybe like a couple of tenths.
Yeah.
And
couple of tenths.
For somebody that, it is like very, very small. It's small gains, but it's one of those things, isn't it? When you get to the higher up you get, the smaller gains get more and more expensive. So, you know, like say if you went to a superbike team and you said, oh, there's this like new thing, it's 10 grand, but you get a tenth of a second, everyone would buy it because it's at that level, a tenth's massive. So yeah.
It is mental, isn't it? It is mental. It's just it's the game. We're all sheep in this game. It's mental. Nothing changes that. You know, you race on a Sunday, you sell a bike on a Monday, don't you? 100%. It's like It's meant like, look at the 700. You know what I mean? The 700 thing. And I tell you what, that's a very interesting point that I bring up, because we didn't talk about the 7, did we? Or did we?
Well, haven't. And I'll just come back to that in just a second. But just to talking about horsepower and all of that.
Yeah.
Richard Cooper came back and absolutely not blitz everyone, but won the race. Like, after such a long year and after a horrendous injury, came back on a Suzuki, which is classed as a bit of an old-fashioned bike. It got dynoed at 189 horsepower, and he won the race. And that's against, and a lot of the other manufacturers are putting out over 200. So it just goes to show that that's what I'm saying, like, horsepower isn't everything.
Oh, totally.
If you can get it down to the ground. And yeah, well done Coops as well for that, because I can't imagine all the shit he's been through for like the last few years. So yeah, it must have been a hell of a relief. But yes.
But I tell you what, shouting at that, by the way, I think now he didn't quite deliver, you'll be hating me for saying this, but he didn't quite deliver it in the results. But free practice on that Friday, Charlie Nesbitt, he properly strung a lap together. He was just behind Coops in that free practices. So he's getting his confidence back, which is great. You know what I mean? So like you say, put ponies on everything in this game, 100%. But even like going back to that point, it's a lot of lads I know in the Rhodes paddock are going Fireblade. Because of seeing it, but look what the Padgetts are doing.
Yeah, so since Tom won the championship last year, Honda didn't have an official team in Superstock, but they've put that the package together. We spoke about to Harv on the podcast months ago about it, and since then it's definitely been the bike of choice this year. The top, if you take like the top 10 riders, it's been more or less dominated this year by the Hondas. And I would say going into the season, championship favourite was probably Alex Olsen on the FHO bike. Yeah. He's done a good few years. He's got like everything he needs to do the job. And so far, the Hondas have been taking all the glory, aside from, obviously, not forgetting Tim Neve, who was dominating the championship on the Yamaha before the crash he was involved in, which wasn't his fault.
Have you seen him since?
I don't think so, no.
No, I'm just wondering what his plans are.
He's have you seen his X-ray?
My God,
it was horrendous. And
now that's a fucked pelvis. Yeah, there is no two ways about it.
Massive screw through his pelvis.
God love him.
He's doing everything he can to obviously get back and back on his feet. And but yeah, horrendous injury.
I'm just wondering when he's going to make a. Well, you know what this race is like. He's just all he'll be thinking about is getting back on a bike, and it'll be interesting. But he's a clever lad. Race is not going to go anywhere from 100%. Yeah. But I tell you what, I've got one of Dom's many daft questions of the pods. Is Stock 1000 and obviously Superbike upwards from Stock 1000 being the cut-off, shall we say? And I want you to contest this if you agree or not. But anything below that are brake horsepower figures really important. Let's talk Supersport.
I don't know. Again, it's a funny one with horsepower where. Watching on the track, you would have watched last year and you would have seen Jack Kennedy and you would have seen the Yamahas, and looking just by the naked eye, it would look like the Yamahas have got way more horsepower than the 636 by on watching on the track and watching on the straights, where if you put them bikes in the dyno, I'm pretty sure they've got similar horsepower.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar.
So I really don't know. Like, if you're watching Superstock, you wouldn't look and you wouldn't think there's like 15 brake horsepower between Coops and, say, David Allingham, who he's battling with. But there is, if you put them two bikes on the dyno, the Honda is putting out way, way more power than the Suzuki. But on the straight, it's not obvious. It doesn't seem to translate in miles per hour.
But you're talking about like 190 up kind of thing, but you're putting 140 brake horsepower down on a Supersport. Is it brake horsepower figure has definitely got to be apparent of that. It's like Super Twin racing. There is a huge difference between 5 brake horsepower in Super Twin racing.
Yeah,
it is noticeable. So it's like it's an interesting concept. That the fact that you need to put the power down.
Yeah,
there's no two ways about that. But when you think that 636 couldn't have been ridden any harder or any better than Jack Kennedy, and he did struggle against that Bradley Perry massively. But then this year he swapped round different chassis, probably the same brake horsepower. It's working. But can a lad win? So let's put a circle. Can a lad win on 125 brake horsepower bike in Supersport? This is 125 against 135.
10 horsepower?
Yeah.
No, not any.
What about 8? Turning a new here.
Yeah, that's what.
8?
To be competitive in, I mean, Jack Kennedy's the best rider in Superstock, so
Okay.
I guess in Super Sport, sorry. So I guess what's the minimum amount of horsepower he could win on?
Yeah, against like a 140 brake R6. You know,
Is that what Super Sport bikes are putting out?
That's what they're kind of training now. But I can't remember who I was speaking to, but they were like nearly like in World Supersport, they're like nearly 150 brake, but they are chopping engines, mind.
Really?
They are melting them, like utterly melting them.
Just an interesting note about World Supersport. So they were obviously at Donington a few weeks ago, and the pole time was set by Agatha 1:29.9, I think. Really interesting. Like, think how much the tyres and the engines and everything's came on in all that time. 7 years ago, Kyle Ryde did a 1:30.2. Kyle would have been second on the grid off his time of 7 years ago. And you just think, that's how mad's that.
But then, like you say, it's like that you actually put a big smile on my face there, because it's like, when we were at the Bennett's track day there, shout out Bennett, but you were there like on the Gen 3 of your dad. That was a Gen 2 that your dad's got, isn't it? You know what I mean? And then, like you say, when you compare against the Gen 3 times, against a Gen 4 time and a Gen this, the times haven't changed that much, have they? In lap speeds?
No, not a great deal.
You know what I mean? And it's like, there's me with like, not far from it. Like, I've got the, what have I got? I've got the S compared to the M, and I'm like, oh, everyone's getting a Fireblade. You know, part of me is getting like wound up, like, oh, everyone's on a faster bike. It's like, the bikes that S can still do the times.
Well, you did, at the Northwest, you did 199, didn't you, in the speed trap?
Exactly. The bike is not slow, far from it. But then look, like the bike is capable than what I'm getting credit for. So I'm definitely keeping with my bike next year. Unless someone turns up with a load of cheddar and just can't say, oh, Dominic, we're desperate. You never know. So I feel like we've totally gone off the path.
No, going to this. You mentioned the Southern 100.
Yes.
So obviously that was when you would have been there, or the fact you were getting your surgery.
Yeah. Tape reduction.
Run us through the results that obviously I know Todd did fantastic, but
Jesus wept. I think Michael got some wins on the Super Sports, a couple, and then Todd got one as well. But I tell you what, that little 600's got everything. It's got traction control, it's got blipper system, it's got a miniature Fireblade. It is class. But I tell you what, no one else is getting them to go. I can't remember which podcast we were doing, but we're talking about comparing Clive Paget as a flame sticker, you know what I mean? It adds 10 brake horsepower somewhere. But like I say, the Kawasaki of Dean Harrison, he was absolutely chomping at the bit. But so it was pretty much all three of them in the honours, wasn't it? So it was Todd, Harrison and Michael. Now all three of them won super bikes in the big bike and then the super sport. But like Jamie Coward, he was taken to them in the 600 class. And he's definitely delivering on that bike, massively delivering. But no, as far as the super sport, I tell you what, I've got the photos. There was some, I cannot remember the race, and I apologise for not remembering it, but there was a lad absolutely pissing away in the front, right? Chucked it at Stadium. Have you been? You have, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know where Stadium is? It's that flat out king left. Not flat out, sorry. You hook a gear out and you go in. It's a double left apex. And then you go to the final turn at the right before the home straight.
Right.
That left there, a lad lost it there. He was all right, thank God. But the bike was just... You remember that Triumph Triple Challenge lad who took it down...
Ash Beach.
Yep, that's nothing. Ash could watch that and go, and I feel actually a fair bit better here. This bike was obliterated. Absolutely obliterated. I tell you what, I'm going to have a right slag here. I'm going to have a right slag off here. If you listen to this, I hope he laughs about this. But he had a right whinge at people having a go at the GoFundMes. Like the GoFundMe pages.
Yeah.
The poor lad's obliterated his bike. He's looking for a little bit of help with the GoFundMe.
So he crashed or...
No. Had a kind of a little bit of a dig, saying, if you're crashing a bike and you can't afford to repair it, you shouldn't be racing. Strong, fair comment, fair enough, but come on, lad, you know what I mean? That the bike is in a million bits. Leave the lad alone. If someone wants to help, for God's sake, it's like people are like, even on the Boofy thing, people have actually commented saying, I'm not putting my problems on social media. It's like, well, hold on, if people want to help someone out, Paul Boofy's had a life-changing injury. I think someone wants to help him out, and that platform's there. Fantastic.
Yeah, someone privately messaged us actually having a go because we shared the link, which I just think is mad. But
what's wrong with people? You know what I mean? If people, you don't have to agree with everything, do you? You know what I mean? If you want to make that comment, fair enough. But don't tell someone off about trying to help someone else out. Just don't if you don't want to help, don't help, but don't tell people not to help. Bellends. The world's full of bellends. And I would know that because I'm the biggest bellend going.
So, in terms of the biggest stories from Southern 100, so the lap record got absolutely smashed by Todd and Harrison, I believe.
Yes.
They were like a second under the lap record. I think...
Have you got it in front of you now?
No, just from the news articles that I read at the time, I think Todd was won the most races that week, or he was like the
most dominant force.
Classed as the man in the meeting. But Dean Harrison won the senior, he won one of the big races, I think.
I think Todd won the big one, I think. Right. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Harrison did win.
Oh no, he won. No, it was fairly split. But you see, Harrison's never had it like a proper challenger. Like, no, saying that Dunlop and them have always been hammer and tongue, but Harrison's he's never been pushed, and that's what I like about Harrison is, his interviews. He was just like, oh no, it's we're here, we're racing. It's that club racer immediately came out to the front, when Harrison was getting interviewed. It was absolutely class. Like, yeah, this is going, we're out for a fight, and it's good to see him getting challenged because Harrison, I believe, raised his game.
It sounded like a brilliant meeting anyway for all that was involved. And
big shout out to Manx Radio. Because obviously I'm sitting there with my eyes stitched shut and I couldn't physically watch anything. The way that I've never sat down, because obviously I've known being a part of it, actually listening to it, it was class. The way they painted the scene in the picture, it was brilliant. So all of them lot down at the Blount circuit and even the Manx Radio in general, outstanding job. Outstanding job.
Fantastic. And then obviously a few weeks recovery and then you've been straight over to Armoy. So give us a rundown. What bikes did you take over and which races did you compete in?
Oh, Jesus. So no, it was a case of, I'm about to say, because I think we talked about a little bit of it, but we're Lee Jackson, didn't we? What the plan was. So it was all very, 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 very last minute, verylastminute.com. So originally after the surgery, I was going to get 4 weeks with my eyes stitched shut just for the health of it. But the surgeon, Dr. Matthews, was over the moon that it all went well. So rang up Bill Kennedy, and because there was a couple of injured riders, I filled their spot. So we turned up on the 600 of Fran Houghton's. I tell you what, Fran was going over anyway to help out Paul Marley and Toby. And yeah, so I just rang Fran and said, can I take the bike? And that's no problem. And then meeting over there, the Davies lads, so they put Paul Jordan on one of the 500 classics and then me on the other. But that's a little bit weird. So, because it's a 500, they entered us into the Open Classic. So we're against the 1,000 cc's. So it turned up, went out in qualifying. I only made it a lap, and then I fingered shit a piston. Now it pushed back into the breather, and it just like a bit of a two-stroke seizure, just going down the straight and just rolled it, tried to feed it back on. It went, just pulled the clutch in just for the health of the engine. So I only got one lap in, but the thing about Irish racing is, you don't have to do 5 laps per class. It's each rider has to complete 5 laps in the day to qualify. So lucky for me, on the 600, I got my 5 laps in both the Open and the Super Sport class. So going in, I only did 1 lap and I still qualified 4th. Paul was on for Andy Hornby, who would be listening to this, no doubt, and that they were up on the front, which is brilliant. Where did we go from there? So went out, and that was the first time out on the 600 properly, and only got the 5 laps to qualify. And I think I qualified. Where did I qualify? 6, I believe. Because they do the split sessions, so they had the entries were that full. It was class, and having those two split, I went out with the odd class because I'm a little bit odd, and I led that, which is brilliant. And the good thing is, at that time, I'm in a championship running with Michael Sweeney, and I just out-qualified Michael Sweeney. And mind you, I put the gum shield in because I could barely turn left and trying to get my eye adjusted. And to be honest, within 2 laps, that went out the window. Just big pile of adrenaline, and I was just back to how I was.
Did your eye feel better than it did, say, at the TT?
So much better.
Good.
So much better. It's just the fact that I can shut my eye is just, it just felt normal. Not instead of thinking, trying to work around it. It was just like, right, here we go. I still need 2 more surgeries on it, but the fact that I can blink and my vision's clearing so much more, I'm in a much better place, in a seriously much better place, which is good, leading on to the Classic TT. But went from there, we qualified in the Open, we qualified 10th, so against the old boss Croy. So I was at the back of the first wave, which was good crack. And then, unfortunately, we had absolutely outstanding weather for everyone, and then the heavens opened, absolutely pissed down, and there was a few red flags, and there was actually a big crash on the start line. One lad trying to make a return clipped another lad, and I mean, your flat stick there on a super sport, absolutely flat stick. So
were they okay?
Yeah, they were okay, which is always good. Like, you know, unfortunately, it's that's the road racing element. You know, it's when there's an accident, it's normally a big accident kind of thing. But I tell you what, I kind of made some little points. The most outstanding return, you know, obviously we'll talk about Mr. Dunlop not turning up, which was a bit of a highlight. But Ryan Whitehall's return, Captain Insano.
Oh, great.
Because a year ago, he chucked himself off the back jump. I mean, proper chucked himself off the back jump.
I've seen the video, yeah.
So he came back and he was absolutely on the pipe again. So no doubt you'll be listening to this and you'll appreciate the shout out. But it's nice to see that it hasn't deterred him, and that's what the sport needs, you know, just that grit to keep going. But I tell you what, it's been a weird old meeting. It's been a weird old meeting without Mr. Michael Dunlop there. And it's just, I'm going to say it how it is in my opinion. It's a shame. It's a massive, massive shame, because the sport is struggling as it is, without a doubt. You know, it's a very fragile thing, road racing. And unfortunately, Michael not turning up, it's damaging. It is damaging, because now I don't know what the reason is, but he's very much gone down the club route, saying that the club haven't been fair to him. And you're thinking, come on, man. This is very, very, very delicate times. Now, I've not been there. I've not known what the decision making was or what's been said between them. But the fact that
was it to do with start money?
I believe so. I haven't actually fully read into it, but it's a bit like, come on, you know, it was obviously a very difficult meeting with the Southern 100 element. You know, there was like some really tight battles there, and for some reason he hasn't turned up, and for some reason it's gone very much on the club's shoulders, and the club have done an outstanding job to get that meeting up and going. It was absolutely rammed pack. You know what I mean? The hillsides were full, and it was just a cracking meeting. And Davey turning up, you know, on the Clyde Padgett bikes, it was going to be, Davey's just on form, he's full of confidence, he's on the correct bikes.
Do you know these sort of meetings, like, is it just, does it open up like any sort of meeting and anyone can put an entry in?
Yeah.
Or does the club pay expenses for like the top riders to come over to incentivise them or something?
Well, that obviously that happens at like the TT in the Northwest, you know, like even Scarborough.
I know that.
No, but like I think like I don't personally get any money, you know, I've never had that option kind of thing.
From Armoy,
you know, and in the same breath, it's something that I've
But
like...
do the...
Oh, right.
Presumably that if there's issues over start money, so some people are getting start money.
Yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we need people at these events.
No.
We need a fan base at road racing.
So for the club to have money to subsidise like some of the riders, do people pay to come and what? Like, how do they get money into the club?
Well, that's the thing. It's like people have to buy programs, and obviously there's like a pass system. You know, the club and sponsors
pass to get into the paddock.
No, but it's just like the Armoy Club have done a clever thing. Like, they've got grandstands. They've actually spent a lot of money on putting a grandstand system up, and people have to pay. It's like, it's public road racing, and yes, you can go and not pay, but you'll be sad when it's gone. You know what I mean? And, you know, buying a program. And now, don't get me wrong, it's 20 quid for a program. That's not cheap. That is far from cheap. But in the same breath, you need, the prices need to be like that, you know. And if everyone bought a program, it puts money back in the club, and it's like, it's not. And you need. But that's the thing. If you're going to pay the riders, you know, if you're going to pay like the Padgett's team to turn up, you're going to pay Dunlop to turn up, you know, and it'll be absolutely outstanding. The quality of riders there is just getting stronger.
And is the prize money at events like that?
Yeah, so like each sponsor, like, so you got like the Mermaid Bar, you know, and they sponsor the lightweight.
For each race, yeah.
For each race, they put the prize money on.
And is it like top 3 get paid or top 5?
Top 6.
Top 6, right.
Top 6, so you know, it's like, you know, I think it like 6 players gets like 50 quid. But, you know.
What sort of money do you get for a win?
Like 350 quid.
Right.
So it's like, you know, people aren't going there to try and, you know,
so you essentially like
pay the mortgage off, you know.
If you win, you like cover one set of tyres.
Yeah, of course you do. And you know, at the end of the day, it's nice, you know. Like you lads, even like Brit, you don't get prize money.
Yeah,
British, you know, when you win next weekend at Thruxton,
super bikes. You don't in the support classes. You do.
You do, yeah. Which is good. You know, it's that little dangle carrot in it. You know what I mean? It's good. You know, you get a couple of beer money, a couple of beer tokens. But even going back to it, you know, yes, the clubs have to. They need the rock stars in. They do need the rock stars in, because then that's going to attract bigger sponsors and get more money in, and make the bigger event. But like I say, I don't know. There's been a lot of hearsay, you know, and obviously someone like Michael has publicly announced that he's been treated unfairly, and we are never going to find these answers out. This is something that is going to drift off into the mist, isn't it? You know, we are never going to know what truly happened. It's going to be one story against another.
I guess what's difficult about stuff like that, and this is speaking from someone that's like completely out of that circle. I literally I don't know anything about how the ins and outs of how the club works or what. But just from the outside, it's really difficult to form an opinion when you don't know any of the facts.
But that's the same
at the
with me.
moment. At
That's
the
the same
moment,
with
you've got a Facebook status from one, a Facebook status from the other, and it just leaves a big grey area for people to make presumptions and stuff. And
100%.
It's a shame. It's a massive shame, especially just as a fan of the sport, because you just want the best riders fighting on track, and you want to see a spectacle, don't you? So whatever's happened, it's a big shame, and hopefully it can be put to bed and resolved.
I really, 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 and I think everyone wants to see. I just hope. To be very, very blunt, Michael is a huge part of road racing. You know, the Dunlop, like, you know what I mean? He's Island, you know, it's such a huge name. And we want him back at Armoy. You know what I mean? We want him at all the road races. And it's just like, but taking that, like, it cannot take away what David Todd's done at all from what he's done this weekend. He's just been absolutely on the pipe. But I tell you what, even skipping that, you know, he won, you know, I think he won all his races that he was in. But that first race in the wet, my hat goes off to Darrell Tweed, man of the meeting, because it's like a wave system. So it's obviously built off at a time. So you got the first wave and the second wave. Darrell was on the lead of the second wave. Darrell and Davey were trading places on the time board. So Davey was going pie in P1. I think I went off 6, but I was like 8th in the first corner. And this will make you laugh. So went off, and obviously Davey must have been getting pit boards at like P2, P1, P2, P1. I had no pit board whatsoever. So I went through, like, past Mike Brown, past Derek Shields, past Sweeney, and I'm just chomping through. And I caught Adam McLean, who was sitting second. I could see Davey in front, and I'm going, I'm third. You know what I mean? I'm bloody third place here. So anyway, I've crossed the line thinking I'm in third place, having no idea what Darrell's been doing. Darrell got second place and moved Adam to third and me out the contention. So I crossed the line like the biggest bellend in the world going, I've just got third. You know what I mean? I'm waving at everyone like an absolute bellend, like, gets in. And obviously they've got the winners enclosure on the side.
Did you pull in?
Mate, you have no idea how close I was to put, mate. Like, I pulled in and I saw the Wilson Craig lads. And lucky for me, Darrell just came in behind. Imagine if I pulled in.
Oh, God.
Like, standing there going, Dominic, you're gonna have to back up both your bike and your dreams. You're gonna have to just back them up. So
I tell you what, fair play to you. Fourth still extremely good.
Oh yeah, no,
Must have been happy with that.
Oh no, it was over the moon. You know what I mean? So, like, no, it was just class, like, chipping away. The good thing is the little bit that we lacked on the top end, you know, and the speed wise, you know, the wet's a good level. It brings everyone down, but outstanding result for Darrell Tweed. You know what I mean? I am absolutely over the bloody moon for him, and he nearly put an end to Davey's dominance. You know what I mean? That is so close.
Did you say Davey won every race he was in? Broke lap record.
Yeah, so so that, like, that. So
he's on fire at the moment, isn't he?
He is. He's on form, and the good thing is about Armoy is I can see why he must have pressurised a fair bit in the Clive Padgett to go in. But I tell you what a welcome the Clive Padgett got into the paddock. You know, he's one of the biggest names in racing, you know, GP down to everything, you know, the history that team have. To have them in an Irish paddock is massive. Is massive, you know what I mean? So now we just need to get the Lee Johnsons in, the Hickmans in. Imagine them at that meeting. Like, Guy Martin was there on the MV and on his classic 600, you know what I mean? Had Ian Locker.
Is Guy Martin there this weekend?
Guy Martin was racing this weekend. Brilliant. You know what I mean? His MV unfortunately packed in, which was a damn shame. And tell you what, even I got to spin out on the 250.
Class.
Because, like, Dan Sale, like, he didn't turn up. So, like, John Chapman said, could you ride me bike? I put it on Paul, but obviously the first race was pissing wet. And I'm like, right, we've got some wet. John didn't have any spare wheels. So I'm sitting out, like, I missed my opportunity to get, like, the race win this weekend, which would have been a damn, it would have been great to get.
How did Guy get on?
No, unfortunately the MV packed in on him, but I can't remember where he finished in the classic superbike race. He was on a big Suzuki as well. So Crowe got second. Jamie won it, and who was third? Local lad, man. Oh,
I've seen the pictures. Davy Bell.
Davy Bell, local lad. There you are. So shout out to Davy Bell. He's like he is down on the ponies, but he drove it home, which is class.
He got class that.
Mind you, that Super Twin race at Armoy was outstanding. If there's footage,
you can take the Super Twin.
No, ours is still bust, unfortunately. But mate, it was Sweeney, Paul Jordan, and Jamie Coward. It was like a photo line finish. All three of them came over the line. There is cracking footage on the Armoy page of that. Absolutely class.
Who won?
Jamie. By a it was class, man. That's proper racing. That is proper racing.
In terms of the road racing, all the main sort of riders, is there any sort of movements going on or rumours of like who's going where, or is it a bit early for that?
I don't know. There's nothing really being much said, but obviously, like Adam McLean, he went on his own 600 this year, so Adam McLean's kind of a bit of a question mark really as far as road racing is concerned, because he should get picked up, you know what I mean? So I can't imagine Paul Jordan moving from Prez. He seems happy there. Mind you, his R1 went bang, like in a big way on the start line. Just poured oil all over the track. He ruined everyone's fun. Cheers, Paul. No, who else is moving? I can't see Jamie moving. Jamie's in a really comfy spot. They're gonna, they're talking about giving him some new bikes, which is fantastic. No, don't really know. But there's not really a lot going on there. I think it tends to be later, into the year. Don't know. Good question. Really good question, but I have no idea on that side of things. No idea. So, but even like going back, it's like I can't see Davey moving. Davey deserves what does Davey deserve? Of course he deserves a factory seat, but he's on form, he's feeling it, and I think like that track probably suited him. I think that lap speed will be hard to beat, but Dunlop, if anyone's going to beat that lap speed, it is Dunlop. And let's I really hope it happens, because it would be a proper fair fight. Them two, it would be a really fair fight.
I think Davey's in a really good position to negotiate like a really good deal to do, because obviously we would like to do super bikes and the road racing. And obviously he's like one of the sort of biggest, if not the biggest, rising star in the sort of road racing world. I think he's got a realistic chance to be sort of the next big sort of star of road racing. I think it whether it's this next year coming or the year after, but I do think at some point he'll take a takeman. But we'll just have to see. I think he's in a great position with the Padgett's team. I don't think any move would be a benefit in terms of like, I don't think there's a better ride out there for him. And to be fair, whether he was doing British Superbikes or doing Super Stock, he's still riding at an incredibly high level, like sort of improving his skills. So he's in a great position where he is now. It's difficult. It's a difficult one. If you were in his position, imagine if, like, say, a team that wasn't quite as good were willing to pay him a good amount of money to switch. For me, if I was in his position, I'd kind of want to be on the best bike and try and I wouldn't be. But then again, at some point, you've got to start making good money and setting yourself up. So I don't know where or what you'll end up doing, but I definitely think he's on a massive roll. We've talked about like being on a wave before, and he's currently riding the crest of a wave, and he really just needs to keep surfing that wave, doesn't he? Because he's smashing it at the moment, to be fair.
But I completely agree with you. No, you've just got me thinking. Sorry, I'm just thinking about moves, counter moves. It's a bit like I'm trying to think. I can't see James hit. I can't OMG lot. If they make a return, James is like comfy there. Lee Hardy's a bit of a question, because Lee Hardy normally has a road presence.
Yeah, he's been missing from all the roads this year, hasn't he?
He has, and you think, well, what's going to happen with Leon? Is he going to make a return? Is he going to get I don't know. Can you see Leon staying? In British, I don't know.
I don't know. That so far they've had quite a disappointing season. I think everyone would agree. But yeah, I've got no idea.
So, like you say, that's one team that could potentially make a return in. That's like kind of a question mark and the seat element on that. task, really, isn't it? Because obviously, Dunlop's Dunlop's a very very clever man. He's got his own fantastic 600, own fantastic stocker, but like the superbike element's always a question mark for Michael. You know what I mean? And he can definitely deliver, So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. It'll be really interesting to see where he goes. But no, as far as that, there's no standouts. Really, it's quite boring. Really, you know what I mean? It's quite boring. There's no opportune moments to go. But,
and in terms of what's next for you, have you got any other road racing lined up?
no, so it's the classic TT next. Right. So that clashes with the Cadbull. Clashes with
August,
the Cadbull. So
And what you taking over to the classic TT?
So I'm on John Chapman's 250 GP bike, which is I'm really looking forward to. I actually haven't released the numbers on that yet, and I don't know when that's going to happen. Be interesting when it does. But also got a classic F1 ride and for Bob Henderson. That's what I was actually playing on down at Bennett's, the Bennett's track day there, and it's absolutely cracking bike. And like the good thing about Bob is he doesn't mess about, doesn't cut corners. So it's a bit like want to change this, want to change that, and he's really got his teeth sunk into, which is fantastic. And on with the Davies Motorsport Yamaha 500. I tell you what though, this will make you laugh. I was actually leading the race in the Open. I started from fourth. Went off, got in front, starting to pull a gap, got the fastest lap of the race. Gear lever fell off. Third lap in of a 6-lap race. I was absolutely gutted. And I thought, what's Chrissy going to say if I pull in and be a tart here? So I literally rode the entire race. And I've got a photo. I said, I'll give it to Grace and she could put it on. But there's a photo of me. I'm hand shifting. So I was literally moving my leg out the way, going up the straight with my head to the side and just changing by hand, like ba ba ba, literally doing the whole thing. And like going down the box, I was having to like take my foot forward and like heel back change, and I was missing all the time because the exhaust is so close to the foot peg. And I was just like missing gears and like blah blah blah. Absolutely, still finished third.
Wow.
and the importance went flying past us at that point because I lost some crack though, you know what I mean? But that is the best thing about Armoy is the fans go nuts for it, you know what I mean? And that was my point prior to this, you know what I mean? It's such a fragile thing that a handful of people can change the potential future of this sport, you know what I mean? It's difficult because it is a fragile thing, and one day it might go. My God, I hope it doesn't. But we all need to just keep this sport going because, like, riding through there, all the fans absolutely go nuts for it. There's not a single person. Like Glenn Irwin was down actually there. He was watching. Like we even saw Paul Phillips going around the paddock. From the TT, he took his family over, had a great time, and you're thinking, this is good, man. It's like Armoy is only getting better. And the better the riders and everything, you know what I mean? And it's class. Like, there's, like, even going back to, like, the Jamie Coward comment, like, Jamie doesn't really like jumps, but he really suited that. And that's why, like, that kind of riding suits Davey style, with the Supermoto, constantly airborne, some absolutely awesome photos kicking around the place. But you'll have to come to the event, mind.
Yeah,
you'll have to come to the event. Keep an eye on Piggy, because the lad was a nightmare. He's just running around making friends, just telling shitty jokes. He was uncontrollable.
He sent me a joke before. Actually, I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but he sent us one on WhatsApp.
Mind you, big shout out to Matt Stevenson.
Go on.
The rolling mullet. Food poison, hospitalised.
Wow, what, the weekend?
Shit thee not.
Jesus.
All my team, literally, I tell you what, right, this is a shock. I'm a changed man, Chrissy. You've changed me, right? Everyone, Fran, Jamie, Toby, Paul, Sarah, John, not John, Big John. He doesn't get ill. Every one of them, had food poisoning. Every single one of them. All in the same restaurant and loads of people were just dropping down. Like Paul, Godlum, he absolutely just chucked his ring up all day. Still got up and got on the bike just to qualify and stuff like that. Absolute hero of a fella, but it floored him. Like Fran wasn't feeling too clever. But Matt Stevens got hospitalised.
Bloody hell.
You know what I mean?
Are you going to name and shame the...
No, very tempting, tempting, but you know what I mean? So anyway, we're all in there having a few pints and but this is why I'm a changed man, Chrissy. We all had our mains. I'm the only one who didn't have a dessert.
Very good.
I was literally
watching is this for the classic TT?
Mate, I was literally looking at the entry list going, that dessert might knock a second off the air. I'm not going near it, but thank God I didn't. You know what I mean? Because it was something I tell you what, the day I didn't realise how dangerous ice cream was. You know what I mean? Like salmonella, and obviously it's a dairy product, and how
Is that where it was from?
Well, that's what we're assuming because I'm the only one who didn't have it. We'll have to ask Matt Stevenson. I'm the only one who didn't have that. Me and Big John were the only ones who didn't have ice cream.
And that's what made everyone bad.
Everyone in that team were wrote off. Absolutely wrote off.
Piggy sent us this voice note.
And on some random, did he get you 100 quid?
Oh, fuck.
There was some bloke, right, went up to Piggy in the bar and gave him 200 quid. Kid you not. He said 100 to you and 100 to me.
Well, I'm seeing Piggy later on today, so I'll remind him.
There you are, if you straight away, I'd be like, Dom's mentioned 100, like, 100 quid.
And to whoever gave him the 100 quid to pass on, thanks very much.
Thank you so, obviously, a fan of the show, so thank you so much for that. That is absolutely class.
Piggy sent us this just before, so.
I've just got back from Armoy. Anyway, when I was coming back on plane, I sat down and this bloke come and sat next to me. And he'd got a right scruffy old dog. It was a right thing. It was a right tatty old lead on it. I says, how come they've let you on plane with that? And he says, what it is? He says, I'm undercover. He says, it's a sniffer dog. I says, sniffer dog? I said, get away. No, he says, watch this. So he sends the dog down plane, goes up to this bloke, sniffs around him, comes back up, puts his left paw up onto his knee. He says, that means he's got heroin. He says, get away. I said, you're having me on. He says, no, I'm sure you can. Well, sent dog off again, runs round, sniffs around this bloke, comes back up, right paw up onto his knee. He says, that means he's got cocaine. Oh, yeah. I said, I can't believe this. He said, look, I'll show you once more. So dog runs off again, comes back, jumps up onto his knee, and it shits, and it shits all over, like both covered in shit. I says, Jesus Christ. I says, what's that mean? He says, it means he's got a bomb.
Piggy. But I'm actually, as soon as we finish this podcast, I'm heading down to have a catch up with Piggy. We've got a few things to sort out, and then we'll be from then I'm away at work and then straight to Thruxton the following weekend. So
how's work going? Your BSc is sailing nightmare.
Yeah, good. So for those that don't know my new job, I'm working down in Coventry for Lucas Distribution, and basically the BSA Gold Star's coming back to it. It's going to be going all around the world, but it's actually starting in the UK. So the first bikes sales are coming here, and Lucas Distribution, the company I work for, is the distributors. So the bikes are the first batch of bikes are coming in soon, and then obviously we're getting them out to the dealer network and stuff, and people are you can actually pre-order them, so it's been unbelievably popular, just not off the phone, taking deposits all the time, so really looking forward to
Are you on commission?
No.
Don't lie to us, Chris. We're a happy family on Chasin the Racin.
But it's good but busy.
I'll tell you what, we've got a problem here, because obviously do you want to give a shout out to the new logo? Well,
Yes,
I'm literally looking at the new the logos here, going, Jesus Christ, something. And
we've just done a little bit of rebranding. So it was actually a previous guest's son, so Sean Muir's son, Lewis Muir Promotions, has drew us up a new logo. So that the original logo I had was just like a standard motorbike. It's actually used for a few of the logos. It's not like particularly ours, so we've had a one like drawn just for us. So yeah, it's we've had loads of like positive feedback. I think it's a little bit nicer than our old one. So yeah,
it's a lot more refined.
The only person I feel sorry for is Shirley, because she's got the old one tattooed on her. So I don't know if she can get that tattoo removed, or maybe we're
gonna have to sponsor it.
To be fair, it's a mark of the times, isn't it? She's got the original logo tattooed, so she can maybe get the new one on out of the ankle or something.
Class.
Anyway, so in terms of bike racing, as well as you over at Armoy, there has been World Superbikes this weekend.
Yes.
And the top three in the championship, as in Toprak, Bautista and Jonathan Ray, are just every weekend they're the three. They're massively the cream of the crop. Doesn't matter where they go, what track, what conditions, them three always seem to be at it. Scott Redden got his first podium of, I think, is that the first podium he's had this year?
Donington.
Did he get one at Donington?
Yeah, in the sprint race.
Oh, did he? Oh, sorry. So he got another podium then.
They've got a different chassis in the chassis. They've got a different swinging arm.
Yeah. I heard about that, and so he had a good race. I think it was the first race. He came third, just beat Jonathan, and then the rest of the time
riding that thing, mind.
Mm-hmm. And after Bautista and Jonathan got a good jump in the championship, and then Toprak was quite far behind, but he's won something like 6 of the last 8 races, and he's right back in the chase. So yeah, it's hotting up, and for For bike fans, you know, if you've got a choice of watching sort of BSB, MotoGP and World Superbikes, I think, to be honest, I think World Superbikes this year has been really, really good. Yeah, it's a great championship. So if you don't follow it, maybe give it a go, and I think you'll really enjoy it. In terms of, obviously, the next round of the BSB will be out. Once this podcast goes out, that'll be out next week. So we're down to Thruxton, which is the fastest track, the short circuit that BSB go to. It's down near Andover, near Salisbury, where the Russian agent attack was a few years ago, and beautiful, fast track. But it's a bit of an odd one because the only time, as BSB race, the only time you get to ride there is at BSB. There's no testing, there's no track days, there's no club racing or anything, just BSB. So
that's good. That
it's a bit of a funny meeting, and it often comes down. It's the most important place for bike setup. It's so critical to like look after your tire, and like pretty much anyone could lead on the first lap if they wanted to, but then you can just smoke your tyre. So it's a really difficult one to and obviously you can't practice away from it, so you can't like get set up. You have to be really clever during free practice to kind of get a good setup and whatever.
I don't mean to put the shits in your competition, but you literally rode around Cadwell for 5 sessions on essentially a rim. So you've got a lot of practice on.
Do you know, that is actually, so on the track day on Wednesday, obviously we're down coaching for the Bennett's thing on at Cadwell, and I did take my BSB bike just to get a few laps on basically, but I didn't take any spare wheels or anything. I just left the bike exactly how it finished at Brands Hatch BSB. So we used the X tyre, which the X rear tyre was actually developed as a qualifying tyre, like a super soft tyre sort of thing. It's the softest tyre that we can run. And then like since the last few years, people have started using them for full race distances. I did a full race distance at Brands on it, and then I did 4 or 5 sessions at Cadwell, and it was still obviously it was spinning up and stuff, but I was still lapping, and I was lapping like not a bad pace as well. So it's it just goes to show you can get a bit more out of them than what you think.
It's interesting how, you know, your prior point, like how bikes have changed, tyres have changed, and times haven't. People are breaking that records, don't get me wrong, but they're not. You know, with all this money and development, you think it'd be a second every year, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Incredible. Yeah,
it is a bit of an odd one, isn't it? And it just goes to show, like, with all the developments and all the things, Coops comes out on I think it was his 2019 bike.
Yeah.
Which the Suzuki got developed like 2018 or something. Hasn't got any of the sort of fancy electronics or anything on it, and he goes out there and wins. So it just goes to show, like, the right rider, well set up bike can win on anything, basically.
Speaking of Coops, he was on that Kramer of Eddie Roberts' bike, wasn't he? You see that?
Where was it? Yes, he was.
Cadwell, yeah. So is he going to be? I wonder what that's all about.
Doing a bit of testing.
Bit of testing for what? I wonder what's sure. Well, you know, it's be interesting to see if he turns up at anything. Yeah, because obviously your round clashes with our round, doesn't it? So there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, but see, I'm a changed man, Chris. I'm making notes. I've got to make another shout out to our favourite hotel, Brian Kennedy, who was a religious watcher of Chasin the Racin now, because one of my sponsors, Roy Armstrong, was going to come to our moor because it was all last minute, and we're going to stay in his motorhome. And I thought, right, mid thing packed in, didn't it? So I rang Brian and Chris Kennedy, Defo Glory Tattoos. Is there any chance I could use your spare bedroom? So I think he just curses our name, to be fair, because every time we're in Northern Ireland, we end up
hotel. Class.
You'll end up putting an invoice to us. I'm guaranteeing it. Rightly so. Would
you mind just chucking us a drink, please?
Oh, good lad. Which what? White or black?
White, please.
Right, on the white. I'm going to grab a black one.
Hey, obviously, obviously, Rich Energy's been quite sort of in the press.
You're not kidding, is it?
And to want to
don't drag me in.
Well,
to affect it,
I'm as confused as most people about the whole thing, but just to kind of from what I've kind of read, John Hogan's done an interview with both William Story and Alan Gardner, and
that's the Norton fella, isn't it? Is that right? No. Who's the guy who did the Norton interview?
Oh, yeah, John Hogan did, yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy. So he's an in-depth fella.
Yeah. It's a really long interviews with both. So I'd say that's probably, if you want to clarify the situation, that's probably the best thing. But just to explain, our link with Rich Energy is through Alan Gardner, who is who's the distributor of Rich Energy. So in terms of,
this one's for you, Alan.
when you see William Story,
There it is.
when you see William Story, who speaks on behalf of Rich Energy and who controls the Rich Energy accounts, we don't have any sort of link with Williams. We've never we don't get these. Yeah, he's been on the podcast, but the cans come from the distributor, which is Alan Gardner, who also so when you're a Rich Energy ambassador, that's not through William Story.
That's through Alan
Gardner, same as the race team and stuff. So it's it is a little bit confusing, everything that's going on.
I text Alan when it all happened. I said, "What's going on?" He just went, "Don't worry about it." That's all I got from his response. This is me not worrying about it. Happy days.
And in terms of, people can say what they want, and I can see the frustration, especially with say what William Story put on things, and it's people can jump to conclusions about the brand and stuff, but at the end of the day, in a position which we're both sort of privateer racers, and obviously doing the podcast and stuff, you can say what you want, but the fact that through Alan Gardner, the Rich Energy thing's massively helping a lot of people in the sport, giving people opportunities, has been a big help to yourself. So yeah, you can say what you want, but we
need to keep, the thing is, people tear apart. It's easy to tear someone down. Rather, we need to keep teams in the paddock.
Yeah,
I think this whole pod is about trying to build racing up, and I think it's so easy to tear things apart. But no fucking reason.
When you look at, say, Red Bull, which is Austrian, and you think people are drinking that can all around the world, people are drinking that drink, and there's so much money then gets reinvested. They've got a track, they've got a KTM, the link with KTM, they're putting so much back into the sport. So obviously if there is some a British equivalent that can do similar sort of things for us, then I'm all behind it. And like you say, it's what they're doing with the OMG racing team this year is absolutely phenomenal. They've got a good chance of challenging for the championship this year and winning the British Superbike Championship. So but just to try and clear that up, it's not through William Story. It's through our sort of connection is through Alan Gardner.
There we are.
So we've got a load of Patreon questions.
Yeah.
Do you want to, first one, Tony Rules.
Whoa. Before we go down the Patreon element, what's this Motion Films carry on? I've just clicked on the face tube this morning, and there's another documentary about Chrissy Rack. You're more famous than the Beatles, son. What's going on?
No, so Motion Focus Media just dropped us a message and just said they were filming at Rower the other day when you were there.
Flidfest, what a laugh. I owe two massive... Christian Bjorn, I owe them two massive apologies. I'm not going to discuss why.
Right.
That's Flidfest.
And basically, I wasn't entirely sure what it was all about, but I received a message saying, "Will you do some filming and do a what's your story thing?"
Yeah.
And the production looked really good. So I invited them. I was only home one day, pretty much all this month, so I invited them up, and I had a day just kind of a little bit of an interview. It was funny, sort of went back to the house that I grew up in and sort of showed them around, and it's something a little bit different, and it'll be out on YouTube, Motion Focus Media, if you want to check it out. It'll be out sometime soon, and if you enjoy it, great. If you don't, then don't watch it. But I enjoyed doing it. It was good. Right.
Class.
First question, Tony Rolls.
Yeah. Tony.
Do you think PBM will stay next year? Good question. Obviously, PBM have done everything in British Superbikes. They dominated the championship for a long time. The link, especially with Shaky, but then obviously later with Josh Brooks and with Scott Redden, have had so much success. They've been a MotoGP team. They've been a World Superbikes. Paul Bird's done pretty much everything on two wheels. So it's not like there's something that he's having to prove or trying to things. He's done it. I think if Paul enjoys running the race team and going for another championship, then I'm sure he'll decide to carry on. But obviously he has also got his son Frank that's doing really well with the car racing, and things might be, you might fancy going on to that. So I've got no idea, but whatever the case is, he's put so much support and help into the paddock for years. He's given so many people, like say Stuart Easton would never have even raced bikes on tarmac if it wasn't for Paul. And even for myself this year, he's been no, people don't really know this, but behind the scenes, Paul's helping me out this year. So he doesn't often like sort of shout about all the stuff that he's doing, but he's very, very kind bloke. And if he does stay, and I hope he does well, and if he wants to pull out, then it's his choice.
I was about to say, there's no signs of it. Like, let's be blunt about it, you know what I mean? His lads on at the front of the championship, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's no signs that I can see. There's been no interviews, this was last year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
On the podcast with us, he said he did say it was twilight years, sort of insinuating that he's not going to be doing it for much longer. But obviously, he'll be having a very disappointing season this year with Sykes and Brooksy. Sykesy, hasn't troubled the podium yet, which coming back from World Superbikes and as a ex-world champion, you would expect him to be. Yes. But for whatever reason, he just hasn't managed to click with the bike. And also Brooksy, who's an ex-champion on that bike, just struggling to be on the podium and challenge the Yamahas and often the FSD Kawasaki as well. So, but like Brooksy actually had two crashes of brands as well, which is so unusual because whether he's winning or not, he always sort of gets he gets to his level, and he very rarely throws it up the road. So obviously it's not for a lack of trying. He's not just tootling around in like 6th or 7th and happy with that. He's pushing on and trying to get the results, but for whatever reason he just can't unlock the bike to do it. So yeah.
But like I say, there's no, from a public persona or social media persona whatsoever, that it is there last year. You know what I mean?
Who knows?
But it'll be like I say, Tony, it'll be interesting to see. Well,
a miss to the championship if they do pull out.
A massive gap in it.
Tony Walls, thoughts on Padgett's alleged fuel irregularities at the 700 and MD protester Armai. What is it about? What's been? Because I didn't actually see this, but someone privately messaged us and said there was Lee Johnson, Dean Harrison and Michael Dunlop all insinuated that Padgett's were running illegal fuel at the 700.
Now,
what's the story?
Well, I don't know what the story is on that. It's a base. You know what? Every time you sign up for a race entry, it should be like you've read the regs and the terms and stuff. I actually need to do my homework on this because I don't know what the regs are as far as race fuel.
It's because there's no controlled fuel like there is at BSB, so you can run whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, but saying that we need to pull up the regs for the next show, you know what I mean? To actually pull it out. But you're 100% right. You can run race fuel.
You can.
You can. Oh yeah, you can run race fuel.
Also,
like I run out the pump stuff. To make statements like that. You know what I mean about like different illegal fuels. There's obviously a limit on fuel.
Is there?
That's what I'm saying. I have actually not reading that. I should have read the regs, but obviously not being at the Southern, I don't know what you can run and what you can't run. But it's not like they're putting red diesel in it, Yeah. But it's it's an advantage gained if you're not allowed to run it. I'm not sure, but there's got to be a limit to make a statement like that. There's got to be an octane limit or something.
Right.
I don't know. Is that not a fair comment? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I think we'll have to come back to you on that one. Maybe we'll have to get Mr. Clive on the podcast and ask him himself.
I would love it. Would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd love to get Clive on. From the beginning of the podcast, there's a few people that have always, like, we get people messaging saying about Gwintoli. We really want to get Gwintoli on at some point. Clive Padgett's another one like that. I'd absolutely love to get him on.
Michael Dunlop would be another one to get on. It'd be absolutely outstanding.
Kenny, Galaxy or Dairy Milk Chocolate? I don't know if that's a euphemism or if it's things.
No, say that again. Say that list.
Galaxy
chocolate
or Dairy
bars.
Milk? Yeah.
Dairy Milk. Which one would you prefer?
I think I'd go Galaxy, to be fair.
You reckon?
Mike Orton.
Whoa. You think you know a guy? Hold on. What's going on? No, I'm joking.
Mike Orton. Are my thoughts, Dom? What was behind Michael's protest? We kind of went through that. Injury and surgery update on Dom, please. We know you don't like talking about yourself, but hey, that's the price of popularity and success. The
infamous
AHB Senior Supersport Championship Prize Fund. Can we get the winner on as a guest?
Great
if he's
idea.
running it again next year, maybe a bit of publicity. So is the Hardy Breed Senior Support Championship still running? What's the
Yeah,
crack
it's still be
behind that?
running. Yeah. No, he's there at every round. So it's like there's only one.
Do people put money into that?
Yeah, I think. But Hardy Breed's put some money in. There's like a little private. Like but Hardy Breed is like he's such a well-fed system. You know, he's so quick on the socials. You know what I mean? Like red flags up to date. If you don't follow him, it is definitely worth following.
And so how is he financing? So basically, he's got a private race fund that whoever wins that championship gets the money. Fair enough.
I
great.
think I could not agree more. I think that is a great idea to get him on as a guest.
And
Mind you, we do not cover travel expenses. No, not if you win it, son, get yourself a Burnett Field. We'll have you on. Not a problem. We'll even try kind of rich energy in for you.
Wayne Sherwood, Chrissy's career change from teacher to working for BSA. Your thoughts and reasons on the change? 2023 plans. Continue with your own team. Have you approached any teams, or have you approached you? Have they approached you? Dom's bike repair update. So first of all, the career change from teaching to working for BSA. So there's lots of reasons.
You can shout at your colleagues now.
Yeah, one of them is the teaching the teaching thing. I think it was a good thing for us to do, and like I enjoyed doing it. But there was some things that like for example this year with kind of running being involved in running the team. I've got to be getting to the racing on a Wednesday to get set up, and it would be unfair. It would be unfair to get ask volunteers to come and help set up if I'm not there myself. And just in terms of flexibility with work and stuff, it's just works a lot better for me. So it's just personal reasons, I would say, and I'm happy with what I'm doing. 2023 plans. So I'm loving what I'm doing this year in racing in the BSB. It's been a pipe dream for myself to compete in the championship, and all my life I've kind of worked up to it. So I'm really, really enjoying myself. I say enjoying myself. I'm pleased to be doing it. I feel like it's a big sort of. I feel very sort of purposeful and putting all of my time and effort. And exactly. I am enjoying it. In terms of next year, I've not been approached, and I haven't approached other people. Obviously, I've got a fantastic group of people around us, and I've really, really enjoyed what I'm doing, and I love being a kind of this year I'm loving what I'm doing. In terms of next year, if I've kind of got two options really. One of them is if I can attract a good sponsor and kind of run our own team again. With the same sort of setup, but with a sort of financial backing. That is one option. And then obviously there is another option of getting a ride with like an established team. Like I say, I haven't been approached by anyone. I haven't went looking for that yet. I think it's quite early on in the season. However, we'll just have to see what happens.
But you are like, it's like any job. You're approachable. You know, anyone's for sale essentially. Anyone can have a chat. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, it's a funny business, the whole racing thing, because most people are on like sort of like a 1 year rolling contract.
It's the most fickle game going.
Very, and so it'll just have to see what tends to happen in bike racing is the top teams gets sorted and everyone else is on hold because everyone's waiting out for and once the top rights start getting filled out, that's when one thing falls into place.
When does that normally happen? Someone was telling me like July time kind of.
I'm not too sure. We've talked about this before, where some riders have managers that from like even now in the season they'll be going around and kind of having meetings and
Grace
stuff.
is our manager.
Yeah,
speak to Grace.
I've always kind of done stuff myself, but I would I'm not really too sure. But yeah, well, I think it's quite early on in the season. Obviously, we're not even halfway through the season yet, and we'll just have to see how things plan out. But good question, and thanks very much, Wayne. Terry Nichols, the rumour mill is in full swing in World Superbikes, and we know you both love a good rumour mill. Thoughts on Pachucci returning if he wins Moto America? Right. FHO running a World Superbike team next year. Who do you think will be their riders? Fancy it, Chrissy. So I have heard the rumour that FHO are looking at potentially going to World Superbikes. Obviously, both Hickman and Vickers were racing in Most in Czech Republic this weekend. I don't know. I think you would obviously have to get maybe Feijo or a representative
that would be a good
from the team to speak about that. I've got no idea what they're wanting or what they're planning on doing, but I have heard that rumour that they are looking at potentially going World Superbikes. So
class.
Who knows? And I haven't heard anything about Petrucci returning after if he wins Motor America.
How's he getting on? Do we actually know how he's getting on?
I don't follow Motor America.
I feel like we just make a homework. With this pod, we just make more work for ourselves, don't we? They're simple as that.
But good question. I think, jumping to sort of World Superbikes, it's a hell of a step in terms of the level of riders, and but then the best, you really are, like, for example, Alex Lowe's won British Superbikes, went to World Superbikes, and he's never been...
Yeah, but he's had a podium and...
Podiums, but I'm just saying the level of competition is extremely high.
I totally agree, but
especially the top three. Aside from the top three, things are achievable. One time Alex will be sort of fourth, then it's like Rinaldi, and then it's Redden, and that seems quite changeable. But at the moment, the top three are just so far ahead of everyone else, and obviously 3 manufacturers as well, which is it's very impressive. In terms of FHO going, obviously, if that's what they want to do, they'll have the resources to do that. And
you would jump at it though, wouldn't you? As a rider, you'd jump at it. Would you jump at it?
What's
jump at the Worlds? If your boss, okay, you're Pete Hickman. Feo comes through the office door and goes, "I want to go to Worlds." Would you be like, I don't know, or would you be like, mint?
I don't know, because realistically, Pete Hickman hasn't got a chance of winning World Superbikes if he was on the best bike. Best bike, best team. If he had the best of everything,
okay,
the very best that he could do in the championship is what, sort of 8th, 9th, something like that.
Right.
Like, he's got no chance of sticking in BSB, especially if they change manufacturers. He has got a chance, like skill level, he has got a chance of realistically winning races, breaking lap records, and depends what his goal is. Obviously, if his goal is to be the main rider at the road racing, like the best international road racer in the world.
He's already stamped that one.
Yes, guess he's already got that. So
tick.
Yeah, I really don't know. Obviously, it'd be great. It'd be great traveling the world and kind of things. But at the end of the day, if he's wanting to win, I think I don't know.
But the question remains, Chrissy. I'm asking you. You pretend you're Peter Hickman. You know what I mean?
Well, you kind of want.
Feo walks in. What would your answer be to Feo?
What's that? Would BSB or World Superbike?
No. She goes, yeah.
Realistically, he's got a very small chance of winning.
No. You're Pete Hickman.
I'm answering. He's got I would say quite a small chance of winning either of them. So going to World Superbikes, you're obviously riding at a high level, and it's a hell of a thing to do, isn't it? Right, to do a season in World Superbikes, but who knows? I have heard that they're looking at changing manufacturers as well, so potentially see. I've got no idea which other manufacturer, but honestly, I've got no idea. But someone like,
I was jumping it.
Look, take someone like Sean Muir. And Paul Denon. They've both raced BSB for years, and then they got to a point winning the championship and whatever, and then went on to World Superbikes. I'm sure if you ask both of those, they wouldn't want to come back to BSB. I think it's a level up, isn't it? Traveling the world and whatever. I've got no idea. Either way, it'll be a fantastic opportunity. In terms of Vickers stepped in for Haslam this weekend. So Haslam was supposed to be riding for Pacheco Kawasaki, but I think he needs to go and do some testing in Suzuka to get ready for Suzuka 8 Hours, which is next weekend. So that obviously gave the place to somebody else. I do believe that Skinner and Jackson were both offered the ride, because obviously they're Kawasaki riders, and it would have made more sense. But both of them didn't want the opportunity, and obviously it was a strange one for Vickers, because obviously he's riding a BMW this year, but jumped on the Kawasaki and got stuck in. But yeah, it's such a step in terms of level, massive level.
I haven't watched it on the old boob tube yet, but Taylor Mackenzie did one with Tara. I keep getting them mixed up. Taylor and Taron. Which one's on the Yam?
Are you serious?
Mackenzie. I keep getting them mixed up, man.
Taron.
I've had a head knock. Yeah. So Taron's on that. But he did like what's there was a comparison video.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
I haven't watched it yet either.
Comparison. It's
Which one's easier?
It's
That
on
was the
Taylor's.
question.
Yeah, on Taylor's YouTube channel. I do know from
He does a mint job editing them, mind. You know, the stuff he puts on his
from
class.
when Hickman did BSB at Donington. I think he was pretty much matching, like, say, Reading around the track, but he was losing a second in the last sector. And I think a lot of that comes from as BSB riders with no wheelie control, you kind of get used. It's a skill that you kind of get used to, where with the full electronics, it must be really difficult to get the most out of the electronics. And it was the same for when the Honda riders were testing there with Glenn Irwin. Glenn was matching them all the way around the track. And then the last sectors where he was losing everything compared to the World Superbike riders. So I think that's where the electronics come massively into favour. And that's where they were, kind of making all the time up there. Interesting. I mean, who knows? I think you'd have to have a go on one of the bikes to sort of see what the difference is. But it is interesting that not that long ago, BSB riders were doing wild cards. So, like, for example, when Hopper was in BSB, wildcarded and put it on pole at Silverstone. Not that long ago, it was really common for BSB riders to do the World Superbike round and to be either winning or getting the podium.
Yeah.
Where I don't know if it's just the differences in bikes, but it's the level of competition. But for me, Top Rack Jonathan and Bautista just seems so far ahead of, like, everyone. Like,
Definitely.
It's just, it's a joke. Good question, though. We've got Paul the Pump. Well done at Armoy, Dom.
Best
And keep working hard, Chrissy.
No, I knew a guy called Petrol Pump for a total different reason. I wonder why that's why he's called.
I've no idea. But
Do you want to know why my mate was called Petrol Pump?
It's something about red diesel.
No. Basically, had a cock exactly the same shape as a petrol pump. It looked like he got it jammed in a door.
Wow.
Like, totally got. So forevermore, he's known in the woodland game as Petrol Pump.
Nice. So well done at Armoy, Dom, and keep working hard, Chrissy, improving all the time. I'd like to know, what is the most silly, stupid, or idiotic thing you've ever done? I think that will come straight to you. I think that's you'll be stuck for choice on that one.
I've got millions. I put a chainsaw on my head, for God's sake. I think we're pretty high up on the order on that one.
Backflip thing, I think, was pretty.
Oh, that was cool. That. I've done loads of daft shite. What about you? Come on.
Most idiotic thing I've ever done. I have to have a good think about that.
I'll tell you what, one of the biggest near misses was jumping off a cliff, right? You know, in the cold water, you know, the body shock element. Planky Mill, that it was like a proper like cliff, like something like Red Bull, you know, the Red Bull cliff diving competitions kind of thing. This was like in the middle of Northumberland, and the cliff edges were so narrow, you had to take a run and jump and miss the edges, and we all used to go do it. And honestly, we did this in February. My mate said, "There's no way on God's green earth you're going to do that now." And I went, "Bollocks to you, I'm having it." Mate, the only reason I didn't die is because I hit the bottom. Like, I hit the bottom, my body went in the shit, like my chest just went, like, locked in. You know, the second I hit the water. And it's only because I hit the bottom, I pushed off away. That's how high this is. Because the water was so low, you know, we're not, like, a lot of rainfall coming in. Mate, the only reason I survived, because I literally pushed myself. It was like a rock shore, and then I had to go get a rope to get us back because I couldn't swim. Like, and I could swim obviously, but I was that locked in, shocked in. Essentially, fish to zoot.
Yeah,
I was pretty stupid.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, like, the most stupid thing I've ever done. I'll have to. Nothing like springs to mind.
You've probably never driven a car with a sunroof, have you? Like, you know the wind out back.
No,
I had a 1.48 valve Astra. I bought it for 200 quid. It was like my first car. It was absolutely class. We used to go down like farm lanes, and we used to like call Alice in Wonderland. You know, when you got the Mad Hat at the team, we're like, change places, and everyone would like climb out the sunroof over the bonnet like before the car crashed. But like get up to like obviously there was nothing coming, but we'd like get up to like 80 and see if the car would crash. It's like what we're doing.
Yeah. I think you can answer that. You can have like a couple of goals. Yeah. That could be a podcast in its own right. I'll have to come back on that one.
Naked paintballing. That was a good laugh.
Really?
Yeah. Everyone in for the crotch. It was like natural instinct.
I haven't been paintballing for years.
Oh, we had no mask. We all bought paintball guns and just started shooting each other.
I don't know.
We are very different people.
Yeah.
I'm just... Oh... How do we get along? That should be one of the Patreon questions. How do we get along? We don't know. There you go.
Jesse Mortimer. Chrissy,
Your hat's coming, by the way.
Yes, yeah. I've just sent that to the post office. What did it cost you to get Wit to come and talk to you on the grid?
Hold on, what? Did he come talk to you?
Yeah, have you not seen that?
No.
Yeah, he interviewed us just before. It's the first time I've been interviewed live on Eurosport and like on the grid.
Mint.
So it was really nice of him to come back to row 6, and yeah, it was spot on. Obviously, it's really good TV coverage. We got a message from Stuart Higgs after the weekend saying the boss of Discovery had messaged him to congratulate him that we had a combined of 370,000 live viewers on Sunday, which is like really good for BSB.
Fantastic news.
And yeah, and the grandstands were packed. It was like a proper good meeting, and hopefully as a sport it's growing and reaching a wider audience. So yeah, but yeah, it was obviously I didn't pay Wit, but it was very nice of him to come and speak to us. Like it's so important for people like myself that are like privately funding to race in superbikes. Things like that don't they mean a lot, and especially like to my sponsors and stuff. So it just so happened as well, like my main sponsor Luke was there for the first time he's ever been to watch us race, and he was stood behind us at the time, so on the TV and stuff. So yeah, it couldn't have worked out any better for me, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Dom, now the dust has settled and you can properly evaluate your performance at the TT, which I know you don't want smoke blown up your arse, was awesome under the circumstances. What do you think you need to take it to the next steps? Do you feel a bit overlooked at times, considering you were reeling in TT winners during the races this year and are constantly banging on the door in Irish Nationals? Also, obviously want a full RMI rundown as well. Oh, and last bit, new logo, new merch possibly. My hat's already a bit worn out. Speaking of hats, Dom. Yeah, I'll get that hat. Oh, that's me that needs to send you that, but it's coming. So yes, in terms of, do you feel like there's anything in particular that's holding you back at the TT? I can answer a little bit for you. On your
yeah, what's your opinion? Go for it.
So massively on the twin, I didn't think you had a chance just with the sheer speed. Compared to the patterns especially, I think it's almost like a different race. I truly believe that if you are on a pattern, I think you'd be battling for the race win. Definitely podium, but I think you can challenge the very best riders on the lower classes. So personally, I think that's holding you back. The 600, I think you're fairly down on, well, I know you're fairly down on horsepower and speed, and I think given a better 600, maybe not at the moment. I'm not saying like putting you on a good bike and I think you'd win, but I think that whole, like, were you like 7th in Supersport?
8th. I got an 8th.
8th, and I think being realistic, I think if you were all on the same bikes, I think you could get further up. Top 5. Yeah, at the moment, which is fair enough. So I do think you could be on a better bike in 600, and on the 1,000, I think not so much the bike but I think in terms of your your preparation, obviously as a privateer it costs a lot of money to like go and do club racing and go and do BSB, and the fact that being realistic, before turning up to the TT you've had like a little bit of a blast out at the Northwest, but that's sort of it. I think challenging for like 6th, 7th, 8th on the bigger bike, I think considering the lack of track time and the lack of experience that you have, I think that would probably be the biggest factor. So if you had like, let's say someone give you like say 50 grand and you had a choice of like upgrading your bike or doing loads more track time, I think upgrading your bike, there might be a little bit of time, but not a great deal. But the extra preparation, 100%. I think where you're missing out the biggest. But yeah.
No,
would you agree with that?
No, I 100% agree with you. You know, it's... I
know you're not very good at blowing smoke up your own arse, but I can blow it up for
you. Steady on, rumour mill there. Yeah. But no, yeah, I totally agree. That's an interesting comment. You know, it's a bit like if someone gave me... It's like every sponsorship money, anything, any support always goes back into it, you know, and I think Yeah, I completely agree. The bike is mint. Obviously, it's not mint at the moment.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Someone asked that about the...
Yeah, so Michael Rutter, God love him, so I bought some like inner stanchions, outer tubes and stuff like that. Top yoke, TAS Racing, absolutely fantastic. But like, so I was actually, when I was over at Armoy, I went over to the workshop. What a bit of... Do you know, like, Philip Neal is a massive motocross fan. They had a motocross team and everything, TAS, you know.
Right.
I had no idea about that. He's got like World Championship RMs, Suzuki's and everything. Like, the workshop is class. Absolutely class. And it's just brilliantly Irish, you know what I mean? Northern Irish. It's absolutely class. Like, I went into the village, got a haircut, and I went over to CK's coffee shop. I'll send Grace the photo, right? I went into the shop. I was wearing my HG Concepts top, nothing like, you know what I mean? It doesn't scream racing this, does it? You know what I mean? We all know in the game what HG Concepts are. But I went up to the counter and they're like, hello, you all right? I said, is there any chance you do take out coffee? And I got myself a cappuccino because I'm posh now, if you know what I mean? Takeouts. And she goes, what are you over here for? I said, I'm going to Armoy. She goes, all right, no problem. So, what you doing in Moneymore? I said, I'm just up to see the TAS lads. I'm just picking up some bike parts. She goes, what's happened? I said, I was involved in a little crash at the TD and stuff like that. And I went, how much are we for the car? She goes, don't worry about it. You know,
because you race bikes.
Because I race bikes. Uh-huh. That is just what it means, you know. And like, you know, when like going back to the Armoy comment, it's just like, you know, all like there's a couple of pubs in the village and stuff like that, and they're all just laced with like, you know, Michael and Joey Dunlop and Robert Dunlop and, you know, William and Mike. You know what I mean? It's all like all the Irish races, you know what I mean? And you just think it's all plastered all over the place, and you just think that is just feels like going home for me, if you know what I mean. And you just think it's absolutely class. But no, like I say, I was at TAS Racing, got some extra bike parts for the BM, and you know, it's coming along nicely. But it's a case of save a bit of money, you know, like, and people are coming, like, you know, like that gentleman that we need to get a name from Piggy, like that £100, that's going into, you know, rear sets and just getting the bike built. But even going back to your point, it's if someone did just turn up and go, there's 20 grand or 30 grand, it would be 100% into track time. I would love to go do British, don't get me wrong, but you know, even like No Limits, when you look at the No Limits entries are huge. Thunder Sports, just practicing a craft all the time. You know, you can't stop track time. But then it amazes me what you lads can do. It's like, you know, like, you know, you're British, you just jump in the deep end, but you're in the right deep end. And that was what I found interesting about your World Superbike comment. Is like, I would rather be at the back of the top class any day of the week.
Well, that's kind of a little bit like where I am, where I could be somewhere near the front in Superstock.
Yeah.
But I'm choosing to
be in the deep end,
to be in a higher class, but accept that I'm not battling for race wins. So, but I'm riding at a high level. So I guess that would be a similar sort of question for Hickman. But the point is, he's not winning BSB consistently.
No, but he doesn't have. That's what I find interesting. It's a bit like, what does he want? Like, without sounding like a military advert, but you want to be the best you can be. Imagine if you had that opportunity to go and compete at the highest level. You know, your boss turned up and let's go up a level. Mint. He's getting paid to do it. Why the hell not? So like a year at World Superbike with Hickman, where he can run a World Superbike there, TT. He doesn't need to go win another. Obviously, he wants to go win another TT, but he's done it. He's ticked the box. But imagine a year on that World Superbike, and he takes that World Superbike to the TT. Then you're talking about throttle connection in one corner. He's got 264 to play with. Imagine the speed then.
Yeah, fair point.
It'll be hellish, wouldn't it? The future's bright. The future's orange.
We'll have to keep.
Remember them adverts?
No. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Kathy Jones Parry, what's with the new logo? It's really nice. Well, thanks very much. Yeah, just
managed to really shite. That would be class. Paid for privilege.
So the reason that we have actually upgraded the logo is because the other one wasn't ours, essentially.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing unique about that bike like that. That's used for other things, but at least this one's we've had that drawn for us at ours. Craig Harris, could you give a shout out to the lads racing in pink at Castle Coombe in a few weeks in aid of cancer research? We would very much appreciate it, and all avid listeners of the cast. So Craig Harris, I don't know if I presume they'll be raising money, so if you we'll have to find out how to sort of push people towards that. Maybe if you Google Craig Harris or find out the Castle Coombe entry list. But yeah, great calls, so thanks very much. Andy McCaster, Dommy broke down on the classic on Friday practice at Armoy opposite us, provided a bit of entertainment cheering on the boys. What do you think of the bike and its chances at the classic TT? Good question.
Strong bike, seriously strong bike. Like we've been like John and Colin asked me to race for them in the classics. When I got the first time on a classic bike, I got on the podium at the Isle of Man. So I was first privateer, but they used to put the privateer up there, and I think I finished 4th in that race. I was just off the actual podium, and they wanted to build this Yamaha. Now the Yamaha is the same engine design, engineering terms, as a pattern. Now the patterns have dominated, Ryan Farquhar riding it, Locker's ridden one, McGuinness, Josh Brooks, all these lads have just absolutely pissed away, on this pattern. Now what it is, it's a parallel twin with a 4-valve overhead twin cam. Now Jamie Cowardy's on a single 4-valve overhead, so the power distribution can be there. And so John McGuinness has actually ridden the Yamaha that I'm on. He says it's not as quick, but like everything with development, hopefully, it's always them little gains, especially in smaller capacity bikes. Mm-hmm. And I'm feeling confident. And more importantly, I think my team, do I get to call him a teammate? So no, but Lee Johnson's riding the sister bike to that, and he actually did a vlog on the bike. If everyone want to go have a look at that, it's absolutely beautiful. It's on Lee Johnson's vlog. He was around Blighton Park, and like me, John and Colin and Clive and Martin and Karen, everyone in that office, we've just constantly proper engineering, gone out, broke it, go out, break it again, go out, break it again, try something, try it and spin it round. Lee's ridden it. He's over the moon with it. And Lee's 18 stone lighter than me, and he can pedal a motorcycle. As much as Lee's very open, he's not fussed about the classic TT, in his words, but put a helmet on the lad, shut the visor, he's going for the win. I genuinely believe me and Lee will push that pattern 100%. So hopefully we can knock them off the top step. But it did shit an engine in Armoy. But that's the thing. You've got to try something, spin it round. But no, at the end of the day, if you broke down, you should still cheer on, especially me mates. Like Anthony Ambley was bombing around there, and he was absolutely kicking the shite out of his bike. And it was great to see. And Andy Hornby, he had a big smile on his face. So it's the lads, and you've got to cheer them on. So no, thanks for the support though. Thank you so much for the support.
So Sam Downs, this last one. Is Don planning on doing any more base speed rounds this year? Will either of you be attending the sidecar revival this weekend at Cadwell Park? Might be a good chance to get some sidecar teams on the pod. By this weekend, I presume it means next weekend, which I'm actually commentating on the Suzuka 8 hour down in, I'm not actually going to Suzuka, I'm just commentating from London, so unfortunately I won't be able to be there next weekend. Like you say, it would have been a good chance to do some podcasts, something a little bit different. Are you going down?
I didn't even know it was on, so I wouldn't mind going. I'm going to go. I tell you what, that's another thing about Armoy is the Birchells went round on a sidecar.
I've seen that,
the parade. So I haven't actually had a chance to get the crack from them, but they had a big smile on their face when they came in, so that'll be another interesting element to it. Be really interesting.
Are you planning on doing any more BSB rounds?
I would love to.
What would you do it on 1,000 or 600?
I don't know what I'm trying to think what I can do. You know what I mean? So it's class. So my next round is no, not. I mean that I meant is date wise, because I'm think the classic, and then Scarborough if it's going. There's been a bit of a confirmation, but not. I haven't seen an entry form. Put it that way.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what's happening there, but no, that's in September. So what's after September then? Don't say a date. Don't give me a date. September the 9th and 10th. What rounds are left after that for the British?
I'll just get the calendar up now. So after we've got Thruxton coming up soon, then Cadwell Park, which is the 27th to the 29th. Snetterton's the 9th to the 11th.
Not going there.
Ulton Park, 23rd to the 25th.
Off.
September. And then we've got the 30th to the 2nd, 30th of September, the 2nd of October is Donington Park, just a week after. And then you've got a week off, and then the final round of Brands GP, 14th to the 16th of October.
I'd like to do Donington. I've never done a British Donington. I've done a British Ulton Park. and it was like that. That's like really, it's such a hard track, but it's so good to go like race round. It's so good.
If you were going to do it, you could do round 10, like the second last round, and if you had a choice to do Super Sport or Stock 1000, which would you prefer?
You know what, the Stock 1000's hard to qualify.
Yeah.
That is the truth element. Now, I'll definitely qualify for Super Sport.
Yeah.
So because, you know, the entry numbers are a bit lower, and I know I can put the times in. You know what I mean? But Stock 1000, you don't get anywhere being a soft shite, do you? You know what I mean? And if I want to progress as a rider, you've got to be in the deep end, back of the, you know, I'm willing to be at the back of the top class. But so, yeah, in short answer, I would like to go there on Stock 1000.
Right, so watch that.
I would like to go, and if it's wet, I'll definitely have a chance.
Have you seen? So I'm just on the BSB website here. So a few big stories. Have you seen that BMW are introducing a one make series to replace the Ducati Ducati Cup?
Aye. Did you see Glenn Irwin's tweet about his brother? It was so funny.
No.
It was like it was a congratulations to what are you thinking?
I just think that camera looks on the piss, but it's all right.
It probably is. Yeah. I set it up. But no, I think Glenn Irwin's tweet was like, congratulations to Danny and Andrew for, you know, the top performance, you know, like the top qualified. Oh, anyway, it was a piss take. It was funny as hell.
Would you fancy doing that series?
I would. It's like 11 grand for a bike. I would love to have a go at that. I think, like, I don't know the British tracks that well. You know, I would like to go. It would be a good learning curve. But the only problem for me, on a financial element, it's a bike that I couldn't use again. You know, like
in other classes.
If you know what I mean. And it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It always comes down to fucking cheddar, doesn't it?
So but if someone was someone was going to pay to, like, say, buy your bike and run you in that,
hands down,
I think that would be ideal for you, to be honest. That would be hands down. It'd be really good television as well, like good TV time for sponsors, and like it'd be quite. But I think you should maybe start working now to, like, get some sponsors to try and do that, because I think that would be class for you.
I would love to do it, but that would have to be so insular. To, you know what I mean? I'm like I'll need to refresh the BM and get. Oh yeah, the little spot. No, I totally no. I'm not tearing you down.
As an extra to do that.
I would love to do. You know, if someone just went, I don't give a shite about your roads, kind of thing. But if then I went, I want you on me this BM, I would do it. Hands down.
We'll look into that.
Look deeply down the lens. If anyone would like to Dr. Geordie for the weekend.
Obviously, did you see Brad Jones did his first laps? I know he did a track day at Witt. He did a few laps on Witt's track day at Mallory a few weeks ago, but at the same track which he had his tragic accident, he went out and did a few laps, which was amazing to see, and everyone was giving him a round of applause and stuff. It was really cool. I think we probably mentioned it on the last podcast with Lee Jackson, but obviously Mackenzie was back on top form, and amazingly after the season he's had so far, he's already into the top 8. He's ahead of like loads of good riders, and considering the shit that he's been through, is absolutely incredible. And with a big news, so for Cadwell Park coming up soon, the BSB are introducing as a one-off to do Super Bowl. So the top 15 riders will get a chance to go out, do an out lap, and they get one lap by themselves to qualify. So I'm really hoping that I'm going to be in that top 15, because I think that would be absolutely awesome. The last time they did it, also, riders could choose a theme tune. So you had like a song play. So on your out lap, you had like all the microphones were playing a song, and then which you choose. My question is, what would you choose for that?
I don't know. You can't pick Sandstorm. That's an Ulster Grand Prix.
Is it?
That is the Ulster Grand Prix. For other people to watch you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so it's like
your DJing your own.
Yeah, your music as your build up to like your fastest lap that you could possibly do around Cadwell Park.
Britney Spears, Hit Me Baby one more time.
Yeah. On, like, if you're watching this on YouTube, put some song suggestions in the comments and
subscribe.
I don't actually know whether they're going to do that, because last time you had to choose a song. I don't know if they're going to do this song again, but I think it would be an interesting twist if they do that. It's such a good idea. So yeah,
What song would you pick then? Not going to be there.
I don't know. I'll have to have a think. I'll read the suggestions.
I think something classical.
I'm a big Mark Knopfler fan. So
Excuse me?
No, Dire Straits.
Right, sorry.
It's a Geordie, and but it's not exactly like
Geordie Jumpers.
yeah, it's not exactly like G up music. I listen to that when I'm relaxing, so maybe not that.
Interesting.
I'll have a think. I'll read the YouTube comments and then I'll choose.
The most comments, send it to Stuart Higgs, and then you'll just get it on the soundtrack.
Yeah, I hope they do the soundtrack. I think it's good. In other news, I think that's pretty much everything that I've had. Go on.
Hayden Stark won another British.
Yeah, smashed
in
it
motocross.
this weekend.
He
Yeah,
is flying.
Down at Whitby. So
12 points behind in the British Championship.
Yeah,
So,
and that's our little mate from just up the road, and he's doing absolutely amazing. If I don't know if people don't watch motocross, but they fancy like sort of following someone, if you check out Hayden Stat on, he's got like Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and if you ever get to motocross, he's a great little lad, and he's properly getting stuck in and doing the business. So, dude, I think if I was in a financial position to do so, I'd absolutely love to sponsor him myself. But I'll just have to keep.
No, it's right though, isn't it? It's like 80 grand would change his entire life.
Well, not even that. Like a lot less than that.
No, but I mean, like, put him in Belgium.
Yeah. In terms of I know we were talking earlier about like options for next year and stuff. So there's lots of pros and lots of cons from kind of doing it as a privateer team. Obviously the biggest sort of con of kind of doing it yourself, if you like, is obviously the financial element. Like, it costs a lot of money. I'll happily at some point go through it on the podcast and talk about like exactly what it costs to do everything and all the sort of bills and stuff, but I think it's interesting because people won't have any sort of idea about like to go BSB race and like what sort of money's involved. But it's I do find it like really stressful, like racing and
running it all,
financing it all and making sure like I've got sponsors and looking after the financial element, as well as like the track stuff and like making sure we've got stuff prepared and spares, and like literally is non-stop in between the rounds. Like it is quite stressful, but there's like a rewarding side to that as well, which is like as our little small team and the volunteers, and I've got such nice people around us. When I pull into the garage and like say at the weekend, like say when I got through to Q2, pull in the garage and there's like everyone's there clapping and beaming, and like there's like a great sense. And I wouldn't have if somebody was paying me to turn up to ride for a team, and I was things. Obviously, it's not the same. It's very much like a family of like, and everyone's there for the right reasons, and it's brilliant. And that's why like I don't regret my decision doing what I'm doing. I look at other people in like who have went down different routes, and I don't think, I wish I was like them and having like, because with the struggle comes, there's like a lot of, it's like worthwhile, I think. I would. It's a good question. Like, what would I prefer? Would I prefer a big sponsor to come in and kind of do it myself, or would I prefer to ride for a top team and not have to have any of the worries this side? I think there's pros and cons, but I do absolutely love having like a small team and like the, obviously all the Crow Performance lot and all. It's cool. I'm like rabbiting on and just talking shit, but
mate, we've been doing that for 3 years. Don't worry about it.
I know. Have you got anything else to wrap things up?
No. Hold on. Forcefield have dug us out of a ditch, and Keck's underwear. So obviously I this is ages ago, like after the crash, got cut out my RST levers. Shameless plug, getting there. Wear my YRI helmet. No, but Force, like, they cut me back protector office, cut me Keck's office, and Ed from Keck's has given us some brand new boxes, which is absolutely class of them. And Forcefield, Patted Forcefield has stepped up, and I've got I tell you what, it's absolutely class. Like, they've got the base layers, like both. They've got like 2-piece legs and top, but mate, like, I got this onesie given it, and the back protector's built in with the chest. You can take them out to wash it and stuff like that. The weekend, normally I've got the Model 2, which is like the big strap one. It's a lot thicker as a back protector, and it gives you a lot of confidence wearing it. But I got the one that's built into it, like all as a massive onesie. Outstanding. I don't normally like wear base layers at all. I've just never have kind of thing. I thought, you know what, I'm going to give this a fair try. And because the base layer, like the back protector, it's just so much comfier because there's a lot less like moving parts that the Velcro doesn't rub. You know, like the actual straps to it doesn't actually get in your way, especially on the like a smaller bike, not rather than the big bike, especially on the little 250, because it curves to your back, it's like properly welded onto you. It's mint, absolutely mint. And the fact of getting your levers on and off, it's like, do you wear base layers?
I wear them up top. For some reason, I just can't wear the trouser ones. I feel really uncomfortable on the bike. I've tried it before and I hate it, but I really like top layer ones and full sleeve ones. Yeah.
Do you find them a chew to get on? Like, you know, when the sweat goes to the inline of the suit, do they stick a bit, or can you get them off quite easily?
No, I get in all right.
Because like, well, for me, like normally I'm going in commando, you know, and no, I wear boxers, but I don't wear anything that. And fuck, like I'm like, oh god, like the amount of sweat I just clag to the end, like the side of it, and I can't get them off. But with this suit, it's absolutely class. It's the new suit. I'll have to find the exact. It's the most recent one from Forcefield, and it is absolutely class. I'm really, really, really big fan of it. So. Now, hopefully, if I touch wood, don't crash and they cut me out of it, it'll last me forever.
Yeah.
So, but no, that's my shameful plug. But no, honestly, you can't do it without sponsors and some help there. So I'm very, very grateful for them. Very, very grateful.
Fantastic. Well, massive thank you to our sponsors, Colchester Kawasaki, and a big shout out to all of our patrons. For those that don't know what the patron system is, it's like a way of financially supporting us doing the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's there's like 3 tiers on there. The lower tier, you get to ask guests questions. So you get like prior knowledge to who the guests are and get asked questions. And then the middle tier, you get obviously ask questions as well, and you also get early access to the podcast. And the top tier, you get the same, but you also get to send video messages, voice notes, and you also get a chance to win competition stuff, and also we do some Zoom chats sometimes and you get involved in them. So a few different options, but we really appreciate everyone that does support us on that. It does massively help out, and look forward. So next weekend, like I say, I'm commentating on Suzuka. Sorry, that'll be like the weekend that this goes out. So the next weekend we're at Thruxton, and you're getting ready for the Classic TT, which is not until it's a while away, isn't it?
No, 2 weeks away.
2 weeks, right?
So hold on, you'll be
Cadwell that weekend.
Your Cadwell that weekend. Yeah, sorry, it all blurs, man. It all blurs.
Excellent. Well, look after yourself, and thanks ever so much for watching. Catch up soon.
See you in a bit.
Chasin the Racin. Powered by Colchester Kawasaki, part of the Global Moto Group. We supply new Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, Vespa, Royal Enfield, Kawasaki, Sim, Mutt and Benelli motorcycles.